loose, followed by Cobra Lobell and Giorgio D. They're in the stretch. Baltic Speed takes the lead. Holding on to the rail, the outside. Here comes Giorgio D, followed by Sandy Ball. Baltic Speed is going to win it all.
And tonight, the offspring of Baltic Speed favored to follow in their dad's hoof prints with Breeders' Crown victories at Pompano Park.
Lobell and John Campbell have the lead of lane. Don't Get Lost closes it on the outside. Second, plus the length of a mile of trot. Now they turn for home. Matt Lobell all out for the world record. Don't Get Lost moves toward the outside. Matt Lobell, the rail, has the lead. That's Matt Lobell. Here comes Scenic Regal on third as they trot for the wire. Armbro Flory in front, Retoy and Scenic Regal. Three of them coming at them as they come to the wire. Armbro Flory. Here comes Scenic Regal. Armbro Flory and Scenic Regal. Here they are. Down the stretch as they approach the finish mark. In the middle of the racetrack, time for a Bridget. Closing on the field now to Hanover. Flying in between horses now as they come to the wire. Here they are.
Tonight, live from Pompano Park in Pompano Beach, Florida, we have the dynamic world record-holding 2-year-old Trotters chasing in excess of $900,000. Breeders' Crown 88 is being brought to you by Castleton Farm, a tradition of excellence. By U.S. Air, serving over 130 cities across the U.S. and Canada. And by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. They've come all over the world to be here in southern Florida for a 2-week extravaganza, a harness expo, a Breeders' Crown ball, and topping it all off, 2 nights of Breeders' Crown action on this racetrack as seen from the Goodyear blimp. Even the Goodyear blimp here with us tonight on one of the most beautiful evenings in southern Florida. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Johnson, and what an interesting story with Baltic Speed, the winner of the very first Breeders' Crown here at Pompano Park, and his 2 offspring. We have 2 offspring, both in the filly and the colt division, and Stan Bergstein. What's the significance of Baltic Speed as a racehorse and as a sire?
Well, he was a great racehorse. Of course, 4 years ago, he won over $1 million. But there are many great racehorses who don't make the transition from the racetrack to the stallion barn. He did, because the significance tonight is he has the favorite in both of these races, in the great filly Peace Corps and in Valley Victory, the colt, and they are from his very first crop. This is the first year that he has horses at the racetrack. And he is joining his illustrious sire, Speedy Somali, his grandsire, Speedy Crown, and Super Bowl, the 3 greatest trotters in the world. They each have 3 in these 2 races tonight. He has 2 as his first representative. That's major.
And it's always nice to come back to a racetrack. So many old friends, and also on this broadcast. Joining us for tonight's 60-minute show and next week's our broadcast is our old friend and a trainer in her own right, Ellie Cerami.
Thanks, Dave. It's a thrill to be back here at beautiful Pompano Park to have the opportunity to watch these Breeders' Crown stars of tomorrow and future champions. Joining me now is driver Billy O'Donnell. Billy, you're driving Valley Victory tonight. He's a relatively inexperienced colt, and he shows some signs of impressive miles and some breaks. Does this change the way you handle him at all out in the racetrack?
Well, you know, the break he made here was the first time I was down here. The track happened to be really deep, and I just feel that he couldn't get a hold of the racetrack. And Steve came back down, Steve Elliott, the trainer, and he raced him the next couple of weeks, and you know, he won pretty impressive both times. So as far as strategy goes, I just got to be careful with him at the gate and just let him settle himself down and hope he gets his feet under him and as good as he was the last 2 weeks.
Well, you have some pre-planned strategy then, the way you want to drive him?
Well, yeah, really. I mean, you can't go busting him out of there. I don't think he's too inexperienced for that, and he's a little on the flighty side, but has a ton of ability. So I think if I can just settle him down and, you know, get him settled by the half, he can trot a half pretty good. So hopefully that's enough to beat them.
Thanks very much, Billy O'Donnell. Best of luck to you tonight. And now to my colleague, Kenny Rice.
Thanks, Ellie. Bill O'Donnell and my guests now have been to harness racing while Larry Bird and Magic Johnson have been to basketball in this decade. They certainly have dominated their sport. And with me is John Campbell, a man who has won more Breeders' Crown championships, 9, than any other driver. Tonight he has the favored filly in Peace Corps, and she has certainly been a good one, John.
Yeah, she has. She's just been a sensational filly. She's improved as the year went on. She didn't start out as a great filly. She just developed into it and had the attitude to carry her through a whole year.
You've driven so many great ones over the years, John. Was there ever a time in Peace Corps' campaign this year where you said she's really got something special here?
Well, she improved gradually as the year went on, but I think the race that you look back on, she made a break her second heat in Delaware at the county fair there, and she was spotted the field 5 or 6 lengths and still came from last and trotted right by them in the stretch. And both Tom and I just thought that was amazing after her race. So I think that's when we really realized that she was something special.
Good luck tonight, John. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
John Campbell, who will be driving the favorite Peace Corps tonight in the filly race. Now let's go back to Dave.
And let's take a look at the morning line. We start with the 3-tiered entry of Peace Corps with John Campbell, Park Avenue Cathy with driver Bruce Nichols, and Express Courier with Michael Lachance. At 3 to 5, you get 3 for the price of 1. Peach Pit with Bill Wellwood is at 6 to 1, coupled in the wagering with Armbro Hillary, George Schulte driving, and that number 2 entry, 6 to 1. E.D. Cash with Clint Galbraith starts at 5. Armbro Hinter with Lyle Mcarthur at 6 to 1, and the long shot in the field at 20 to 1 is You Got a Friend, and Jan Nordin is the driver. Well, that's the field of 2-year-old fillies in the Breeders' Crown. We'll be back with more after this. And welcome back to Pompano Park in southern Florida as we get set to watch the horses come onto the track for the 2-year-old filly trot in the Breeders' Crown. And that's John Campbell just ready to get into the bike. A beautiful evening here, about 66 degrees, the wind no factor, and the track lightning fast. And out of the paddock right now is number 1 and the big horse, it's Peace Corps.
She is the phenomenal 2-year-old filly of this year. She has won 14 of 18 races, 11 in a row, 13 of her last 14. Here she is now, coming onto the track. If she finishes 1, 2, or 3 tonight, she will become the all-time leading money-winning 2-year-old filly.
And the driver is John Campbell, one of the all-time greats in the sport. He's won over 4,000 races and more than $63 million in purse money. And here is number 1A, Park Avenue Cathy.
She has won 93,000 this year, and she is one of the entry by Lou Guida, owned by Lou Guida, former Merrill Lynch stockbroker and executive, who has done a tremendous job buying.
And the driver is Bruce Nichols, who's been driving and training standard breds for over 30 years. He's known for his patient touch with young horses, both the trotters and the pacers. And here is 1B, Express Courier.
And this is another of the Guida stable entry, $78,000 winner, and was only a $15,000 yearling purchase.
And Mike Lachance, who's won his 4th consecutive dash-winning title in 1987 by racking up 770 wins in a single season. And let's take a look at number 2, Peach Pit.
She is a full sister to the $800,000 winner, Flackbait. She hasn't won that much yet, but she's closing in on $100,000, and of course just a baby starting out.
And the driver is Bill Wellwood, one of Canada's national treasures. This is only his 2nd appearance in the Breeders' Crown, but he has over 2,600 victories in his career. Coupled in the wagering with 2A, Armbro Hillary.
A 7-race winner in 11 starts this year, and she is an entry with Peach Pit because Charles Armstrong of Ontario owns part of each of the fillies.
And the driver is George Schulte, a member of Harness Racing's Hall of Fame. He has earnings of over $19.6 million and 2,800 victories. Here's E.D. Cash, number 3.
Equaled the world record here last week and is the main contender and main challenger to Peace Corps in tonight's Breeders' Crown.
And the driver, Clint Galbraith, raised on his father's farm in Canada, got his first drives behind his dad's horses, and they all ended up with horses like Niatros, who he campaigned. And here's number 4, Armbro Hittner.
Canadian bred and a winner of $282,000, most of it in Canadian stakes, but she's won 9 of 15.
And that's Lyle Mcarthur, who is very successful on the Ontario Jockey Club circuit, worked as his dad as a teenager and went out on his own at age 18. And here is You Got a Friend, number 5.
Right at $100,000 in earnings and was bred by Ralph Branca, former, of course, great pitching star.
And from Team Nordin, Jan Nordin, one of the sons in the father-son trio of Soren Ulf and Jan Nordin. He's won 4 Breeders' Crown trophies starting in 14 of the events. Now, we have 8 in our field tonight. To find out how we got down to that field of 8, let's rejoin our colleagues Ellie Sarama and Kenny Rice and find out.
Thanks, Dave. 13 fillies were entered in tonight's Breeders' Crown Championship. To pare the field down to 8, they had 2 eliminations held here a week ago at Pompano Park. To get it down to our 8 finalists, first elimination, the top 4 finishers. Second elimination, the top 4 finishers. And of course, it is very important, 1, 2, 3, 4, Ellie, to see who gets into the finals, but also important the order of finish to determine post positions.
Well, it is, Kenny. It's standard procedure by the Breeders' Crown to run eliminations with an open draw. But where those horses finish is very important, because the winners draw for post positions 1 and 2, the second place finishers draw for post positions 3 and 4, and so on and so forth. So it is very important where these horses finish.
Let's go back now to last weekend here at Pompano and track announcer Gary Seibel as he calls the first elimination.
Heading for the 3/4 pole, Edie Cash now takes over from Colette Lobell, and Express Courier coming after her 3/4 in 1:28 4/5. Around the final turn and heading for home, Edie Cash has stepped off by 2.5. Express Courier the outside, Colette Lobell at the rail. Park Avenue Cappy out there 3 wide, but she's got a long way to go. They are in the lane. They are all chasing Edie Cash to the wire, assuring herself of a spot in the final. Coming on Park Avenue Cappy, Express Courier at the rail with Armbro Hillary. It's all Edie Cash.
Ellie, last week it was indeed all Edie Cash.
And Edie Cash was forced to take the 2-hole early, but made her move to the lead just before the 3/4 pole to win this race. But not only that, she equaled the track record and the world record. What an impressive performance by her.
And finishing behind her, Park Avenue Kathy, and also Express Courier and Armbro Hillary. They all qualify for tonight. Now, in the second elimination, it is Peace Corps, the one to watch. And Peace Corps has been the dominant filly this year, which is not always the most advantageous place to be when you come into the Breeders' Crown, Ellie.
Well, there is a jinx factor with this particular class of 2-year-old trotting fillies. Not since the beginning of the Breeders' Crown has an odds-on favorite in this Division I race. And not only that, John Campbell has driven the odds-on favorite, some coupled with entries, and not quite the outstanding part of the entry, but John Campbell has not been on the board with these 2-year-old trotting fillies.
Let's take a look now at the second elimination held here last week at Pompano, and keep an eye on Peace Corps.
And quickly now, trotting up strongly 3 wide is Armbro Hitter. 3 of them across the track as they head for the final turn. Peace Corps the rail. Armbro Hitter now trots up those 2 on even terms. Little Larceny drops back in third. 3/4 in 1:30 3/5. Around the final turn and heading for home, Peace Corps at the rail. Armbro Hitter the outside. You've got a friend third. Little Larceny fourth. Top of the lane they turn for home. Peace Corps and Hannah Ron Waples, and now they've opened up by 2. Armbro Hitter the outside. You've got a friend the rail. On the floor outside, Peach Pit and Little Larceny, but Peace Corps once again well within herself as she trots to the wire.
Peace Corps, Armbro Hitter, Peach Pit, and You've Got a Friend. Another impressive race for the big filly.
And the only difference with Peace Corps is Ronnie Waples drove her to the elimination and won so handily here. The filly was never challenged to the wire. Armbro Hitter made a bold rush up the backside to finish second, but it was all Peace Corps.
Well, Peace Corps winning the second elimination. Now, the winner of the first elimination is Edie Cash, and recently our colleague Stan Bergstein caught up with the breeder, the owner, the trainer, and the driver of Edie Cash.
World champion in Niatross 8 years ago, world champion this year in Call for Rain, and now a trotting world champion. Tell us a little bit about Edie Cash.
Well, this filly, she trained real good last winter, and she raced good this spring. She won the Acorn at the Meadowlands in 2 minutes and 4/5, and she got off a little bit, and she was off for a while, but she's starting to come back now, and I think she won a great trip last week.
You raced Peace Corps before?
I raced Peace Corps twice at Meadowlands. I beat her both times. One was a qualifier, and the other was the Acorn. So
you have confidence tonight?
Well, I think we got a shot. We'll give her a whirl.
Tell us the difference between training and driving a trotter and a pacer, Clint.
Well, I think you got to have a little more patience with the trotter and bring them along a little slower and make sure they're gated properly.
Well, you've done a fine job, and congratulations. Good luck tonight.
Thank you, Stan.
Clint Galbraith.
And they've made the 3-horse entry. Peace Corps, Park Avenue Kathy, and Express Courier 1-5. Edie Cash is 2-1. And I guess the others are just outsiders. We'll be back with the race after this brief timeout. Stay with us.
And welcome back to Pompano as you take a look at Peace Corps. She is part of the favorite entry, and with me is the man who owns the big three in tonight's 2-year-old filly trot, Lou Guida, who has won more money as an owner and manager than anyone else in Breeders' Crown history with over $2.3 million. Mr. Guida, always a pleasure seeing you, sir.
My pleasure to be here.
Peace Corps has been remarkable. Has she done more than you thought that she would be able to do this year?
She's the female version of Mac Lobell. I think she's done everything, and I think she'll do it again tonight.
And also, you can't overlook the fact that you have Express Courier here and Park Avenue Kathy, a couple other pretty good fillies.
Yep, it's usually been dominated by the Swedes, but this is one for America.
All right, and you have your good luck charm with you tonight also.
Right, my wife.
All right, Lou, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
And we won't even talk about the 2-year-old colt possibility with speed sailing just yet, right?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Lou Guida. Now let's go to Dave.
We know that some of these horses were bred at home by the owners, but Stan, some of them were purchased. What about the cost?
This is remarkable. Guida bought Peace Corps for $31,000. Campbell says she's the best trotting filly he's ever driven. Mac Lobell cost $17,000, and Annihilator $100,000. The three of them cost less than $150,000. They've won over $6 million.
Oh, wow. Let's take a look at the post positions. There will be 8 in this contest, and we'll show you how they'll line up. Peace Corps at the rail. That's as if you were looking down from the Goodyear blimp at it. And all the way out to the outside, you got a friend. Stan, what about post positions here? Anything bad or good about some of them?
Well, it's less important than a half-mile track, of course. They start on the backstretch, come around to the wire, and then once around this 5/8 mile track.
And as you can see, the car is the starting gate on the turn. If Ellie Sarama is listening, Ellie, are you going to pick against Peace Corps?
This field
No, I don't
is
think
in
so,
motion.
Dave. I'm awfully superstitious, but I'm going to go with Peace Corps.
Okay, so we'll see if John Campbell can break the jinx. We'll see if a odds-on favorite can win this division of the Breeders' Crown, and we go to the top of the stands. And the voice of Pompano, here's track announcer Gary Seibel with the call.
And there they go. They're off and trotting quickly from in between horses. Park Avenue. Kathy sent out for the lead. E.D. Cash on the outside comes away second. Peace Corps is at the rail third. Armbro Hillary has made a break. She is now far back and will be hard-pressed to make up that ground. They trot into the first turn. On the inside, Park Avenue. Kathy the outside. E.D. Cash now takes command. A gap of 2. Peace Corps comes away third. 3.5 to Armbro Hitter. Opening panel 28 1/5 for these 2-year-old trotting fillies. E.D. Cash in command. Little more than a length. Park Avenue, Kathy is second, and stablemate Peace Corps with that group in third. She's 2 back, but unhurried. Now Armbro Hitter moves closer fourth. Express Courier fifth. You've Got a Friend is sixth, followed by Peach Pit, and far back that is Armbro Hillary. No change by the stands. They trot to the half. It's E.D. Cash, and she controls it little more than a length. In second, that is Park Avenue, Kathy, and now Peace Corps begins to roll on the outside. Half wet in 58 3/5. 2-year-old filly trotters on to the backstretch. Here's the battle. It's E.D. Cash, and now Peace Corps is drawn on even terms on the outside. Those two battle it out right behind them. Park Avenue, Kathy trotting third. Armbro Hitter now going up fourth. Express Courier fifth, followed by Peach Pit. You've Got a Friend shoots the gap at the rail. Armbro Hillary far back as they race into the final turn. Peace Corps now by half a length. E.D. Cash keeping her parked out. Park Avenue, Kathy third, and now Armbro Hitter moves closer for 3/4. 1:27 4/5. They are on a record pace as they hit the top of the lane, and now Peace Corps stormed off by 3. On the inside, E.D. Cash, Armbro Hitter, but Peace Corps looking strong to the wire. She's marching on into the record books. Peace Corps now captures the Breeders' Crown and becomes the richest 2-year-old filly trotter in the history of the sport. Oh, what a mile. Peace Corps in 1:57 1/5.
1:57 that establishes a new stakes record for the 2-year-old filly trotters. Jeff Spice had held it previously, 1:58 4, but that mark shattered. 1:57 1. Stan, quite a performance.
Well, how much of a performance it is, that breaks the world record by 2 full seconds. That's 10 lengths. That's an incredible performance, and you are looking at a remarkable filly. And Campbell, of course, has won here the same way with Mac Lobell, and it looks like he has, as Lou Guida said, a female version of Mac.
And don't be surprised to see Peace Corps in next year's Hambletonian against the boys. boys.
That's the plan, I believe, at the present time, and this is the first winner of the Breeders' Crown by a Breeders' Crown winner.
And let's watch the coronation here. It is strictly Peace Corps in front. John Campbell looks over his right shoulder, and they are not gaining on this one.
Well, they're not gaining on this one, and the battle between Peace Corps and E.D. Cash down the backstretch and around the turn looked like two old horses, old veterans, and their 2-year-old fillies battling it out. And here, looking at right now, one of the greatest of them all. In fact, on the basis of the record, might very well be the greatest 2-year-old trotting filly we've ever seen.
The greatest 2-year-old trotting filly, and maybe in next year's Hambletonian. And we're just starting the evening. Another big one in store. We'll be back with more after this. Of course, it didn't hurt to have the inside post position or to have John Campbell in the bike, but take nothing away from a great 2-year-old trotting filly, Peace Corps.
Peace Corps is trained by Donnie Miller in the Tom Horton stable, and a tremendous tribute to both the training and, of course, the driving.
And we'll go to the winner's circle, and here's Ellie Sarama.
I'm joined with the winning driver, John Campbell. John, Peace Corps won a fabulous mile, an unbelievable duel up the backstretch. What did you think about her tonight?
She just impresses me every time she races. It's amazing that she just keeps getting better and better after we thought she'd peaked in the middle of summer, and she just keeps on improving.
She was absolutely giant. Let's take a look at the monitor and the replay. We're going to pick it up just as you make your move. You got away from the gate third, and here you had to pull first over and go head and head with Edie Cash. Was she good at this point?
Yeah, she felt real strong the whole mile. I wasn't concerned about getting away third. She's very versatile. She'll race first over, she'll race in front, or she'll race from behind.
It looked at this point that the only filly that could have even gotten close to you was Armbro Hinter, but you started to leave her in the dust here, and Edie Cash.
Well, she's trotting away from them right there, and I still haven't even spoke to her. I asked her to trot right in there coming out of the turn, and then she just glided to the wire. The scary part is if you get after and chase her, she goes on even more.
Edie Cash took you a long ways. The filly was out a long ways. She trots right here to a world record. She put on a performance somewhat like Mac Lobell did, but tonight it's all Peace Corps. Armbro Hinter's chasing you here, but how does she feel here?
No, she's just gliding. She's really comfortable. She can go even more like if you chase her and horses get around her.
Well, John, congratulations to you, the filly, and you did a great job tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Ellie. I didn't have to do too much. She's the star of this show.
Okay. Back to you, Dave.
And Peace Corps is the filly, sired by Baltic Speed, and this now becomes the first offspring of a former Breeders' Crown champion. Baltic Speed winning here at Pompano in 1984, and Peace Corps comes home a winner tonight.
I asked John Campbell earlier about the gait. I said, she looks like a beautifully gaited filly. And he said to me, she is now, but she wasn't early. She has just improved start by start, and as he says, it's attitude. She loves to race and hates to lose.
And as you see, it's now official, the winner, and that's the 3-tiered entry, Peace Corps, Park Avenue Cathy and Express Courier. Number 1 in the wagering here, $280 to win, $220 to place, $210 to show. And number 4, Armbro Hinter, finishing second at $260, $210. And of course, 1A, Park Avenue Cathy, third, getting the same prices as the winner across the board. That's just one of the 2 races we have for you tonight, and one of the 2 Baltic Speed 2-year-olds. Don't go away. More coming up after this brief timeout. And we're back at Pompano Park, where Peace Corps is heading back to her stable this evening. This daughter of Baltic Speed crashed the track record, the world record, the stakes record. She goes home a champion, and we go to the winner's circle and Kenny Rice.
Thanks, Dave. She certainly has done it all now, hasn't she, Lou Guida?
Yep, she showed her what she was right here tonight.
And I believe just moments ago we were here and you said the female version of Mac Lobell.
Yeah, she is the female version of Mac Lobell.
So what do you think down the future now? Obviously, she's sewn up divisional titles tonight with the Crown Championship. Do you look ahead already to the 3-year-old season, possibly going against the Colts?
No question. We're going against the Colts, and we're going in a Hamiltonian, and I think she's capable of beating them.
She did about everything that you would expect tonight, didn't she? No surprises.
Broke the world record by 2 seconds, and she didn't even really work up a sweat.
John Campbell likes her a lot, and he doesn't speak too highly of just every horse he rides.
It's great. John said Mac is the greatest trotter he's ever driven, and Peace Corps is the greatest filly he's ever driven, and I feel privileged to have that ownership of both of them, and having John drive them makes a big difference.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Guida. I know the celebration may not be over for you as you look forward to the Colt Trot coming up.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Lou Guida, the owner of Peace Corps. What a brilliant performance this filly turned in tonight.
Crowd of about 9,000 enjoying harness racing at its very best here. And next up will be the 2-year-old Colt Trotters into the spotlight for the 12th race on the card. A beautiful Friday night. And the purse here is $400,000, and there you get a beautiful shot from the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise. Well, our host here at Pompano Park is the president of Pompano, John Cashman, and Stan Bergstein has a profile of John and the entire
Kentucky
operation.
Bluegrass has for more than a century been the site of great farms and the birthplace of champion racehorses, thoroughbred runners, and standardbred trotters and pacers. One of the largest and most successful farms is historic Castleton, home of champion sires like Brett Hanover, Speedy Scott, and Abercrombie. The late Fred Van Lennep was the architect of Castleton's present success, and the current builder in his tradition is President John Cashman, Jr.
Fred Van Lennep was, most people didn't know him. He had a tremendous foresight for what the business needed, and the participation and dedication that was necessary that goes with the horse business, whether it was in the breeding end of it, whether it was in the racetrack ownership end of it.
The king of Castleton is Brett Hanover, now 26 and still an outstanding stallion. In the mid-1960s, he was virtually invincible, winning 62 of 68 races, including Pacing's Triple Crown. He filled Castleton's trophy case to overflowing, and his son's Storm Damage is a Castleton stallion too. The latest addition to Castleton stallion ranks is the recently retired Armbro Goal, winner of this year's Hambletonian and World Trotting Derby, and dominant trotting 3-year-old of 1988.
Castleton's philosophy on stallions is to try to buy the best stallions, or lease the best stallions, and stand them at the crown jewel, which is our Kentucky farm. As you know, Bob, we have farms in New York and New Jersey, Ohio, and Florida also, which are very successful, and those farms were built to satisfy the needs of our customers who wanted to race in those programs in those states for the lucrative money that was being passed around in those various states.
Part of the Castleton Empire is beautiful Pompano Park, where tonight's Breeders' Crown action is unfolding. It is, as it proudly proclaims, the winter capital of harness racing.
Pompano Park is a real challenge to me. You know, I love it. It was Fred's dream. He lived with it for 25 years, and there's a lot more work to be done, but it's very, very gratifying because it's a beautiful facility and a beautiful setting, beautiful weather, and now we have top horses, and as long as we can continue to grow, we'll have better horses. It was a great thrill for me to, you know, talk with Fred and say, you know, when the Breeders' Crown was conceived, we got to have a $500,000 race. We got to get one of those Breeders' Crowns in Pompano. It's brought harness racing in South Florida from Bush League to Big League.
One of the world's greatest horses, world champion Mac Lobell, scored this devastating victory here in the Breeders' Crown last year.
It's been a real fulfillment of a lot of dreams. When you're a kid and you love a sport, like a kid loves baseball and he dreams of going to the World Series, I think I've reached the World Series. And there's a lot more challenges that lie ahead for the industry, and I think I'm in a position to help the industry advance and go through the changes and keep some of the tradition, or a lot of the tradition, and make it a better business.
And as you can see, the crowd has turned out for this business, which is also a sport and a lot of fun. Here's the final order of finish in our first event tonight, the 2-year-old filly Trotters. And as you can see, it was Peace Corps, Armbro Hittner, and Park Avenue Cathy, all the way down to Armbro Hillary. Are we doing a blimp pot? I still haven't said this guy's name.
Tell him to be careful in the graphics. Not he had the fillies up there.
That was the Philly post parade that was up there. Yeah.
Tell him to be careful of the morning line. He had the fillies up.
Yeah. How much? Yeah. How much time to air? Okay. Now, we got a Mac Lobell 2 years ago as a fill item here. Mac Lobell 2 years ago. What a beautiful evening it is here in southern Florida. And take a look from the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise, based right here in Pompano Beach, Florida. Tonight's pilot is Captain Drew Marshall, who also resides in Pompano Beach. And thanks very much for these beautiful shots from the Goodyear Blimp. And let's take a look at the morning line for tonight's 12th race here. It's the second of our doubleheader. And we're going to take a look at the Trotters of the 2-year-old ranks, and we have Ziggy Hanover at 3-1 with Dan Shetler driving. Valley Victory, this is the Baltic Speed Colt with Bill O'Donnell, 5-2. Speed Sailing at 6-1 with Ron Waples. Kaiser Lobell starts at 4.5 with Ray Remen. Cobra Lobell, the 5-horse, at 8 with Jan Janssen. London Hunt with Doug Brown at 6. Then we have Probe Campbell driving a long shot here at 12. And Flying Irishman, I wonder if that was named after Harold Kelly, at 15-1. Let's take a look now at the field. Here is number 1, Ziggy Hanover.
Ziggy Hanover has won $114,000. He is part owned in Belgium, and he's been 12 times first, second, or third in 17 starts.
And the driver is Dan Shetler at 16. He went to the State Fair in Springfield, Illinois, made up his mind right then to become a harness driver. Groomed for Del Insco, and he's out on his own. Now let's take a look at number 2, Valley Victory.
He has only made 6 starts this year as a 2-year-old. He's won 3 of them, and he has the lowest earnings of any horse in this race, but he still is going to be the horse they have to beat to win.
And the driver is Bill O'Donnell, the first harness driver in the history of the sport to win $10 million in purses in a single season. Number 3, Speed Sailing, coming onto the track now.
This is Lou Guida's hope in this one. He is a Baltic Speed, also like Valley Victory. So Baltic Speed has 2 colts in this race, and this colt is headed for Austria. There's a sale pending.
And the driver is Ron Waples. His lifetime earnings are over $33 million in purse money, and he's won over 4,500 races in a 20-year career. Number 4 is Kaiser Lobell.
The early season sensation. His owner went to the sale, Susan Layden, last year, put up her hand, $40,000, didn't expect to buy him. He's won $515,000 this year. She's the co-owner.
And Ray Remen, from a racing family, has won over 2,100 races, and his mounts have earned over $19 million, placing him in the top 20 drivers in history. Number 5 is Cobra Lobell.
Can't count him out of it. He has been 6 times first, 4 times second, and 11 times first, second, and third in 15 starts.
And the driver is Jan Janssen, who went to work for Hawk and Walner when he was only 14 years old, and 22 years later, he is one of the best in the business. Jan Janssen driving Cobra Lobell. London Hunt is the 6-horse.
He has gotten within a half a length of Ziggy Hanover last week, so obviously, although he's only won 3 races, he's a contender.
And the driver is Doug Brown. In a 14-year career, the 33-year-old Canadian is booted home winners of $18 million in purses and 3,200 races, and he's driven in 7 Breeders' Crown events. That's Doug Brown in the green and white. And we have number 7, Probe.
Only 2 wins this year, 6 times first, second, or third in 10 starts. But he can't be counted out for the reason, David, because of his driver.
And the driver is John Campbell, who's won almost every classic race, including the 2-year-old filly Trot in the Breeders' Crown. As of tonight, he dominates the crown, his mount's winning almost $4 million. And here's number 8, Flying Irishman.
Trained by the great Hall of Famer Stanley Dancer, owned by Norman Woolworth's Clearview Stable and Margaret Wallenius Kleiberg of Sweden, and a $266,000 winner here in his first year of racing at 2.
And again, we have a field of 8, and there is Harold Kelly, who's enjoyed his best season to date with 292 wins and $1.3 million in purses. Well, we start our race tonight with 8, but that's not the number that we started with. Let's find out from Ken and Ellie how we whittled them down.
Thanks, Dave. A field of 14 entered for tonight's Breeders' Crown finale among the 2-year-old colt Trotters. That field, of course, has been pared down to 8 for our championship race here tonight through 2 eliminations that were held here at Pompano last weekend. As we take a look back now at the first elimination, 2 colts really stood out, Ellie.
Well, I think Ziggy Hanover definitely put on a tremendous performance. He's been ultra consistent all year. And another colt to watch in that elimination is Speed Sailing. He's just starting to come into his own.
Let's go back last week to Pompano and take a look at the first elimination for tonight's Breeders' Crown Championship.
3/4 in 130 flat. Plenty in reserve for Ziggy Hanover. He's got it by 2. Speed Sailing on the outside, and at the rail, London Hunt, followed by Probe coming on to be 4th. He is now within striking distance, and Vista Lobell is 5th. They are in the lane. Ziggy Hanover, Dan Shetler looks over his shoulder and urges on Ziggy Hanover to the wire. Speed Sailing closing on the outside. At the rail, London Hunt, they drive to the wire. Ziggy Hanover hangs on in 159 3.
And Ellie, as they come down the stretch, Ziggy Hanover just had enough.
Well, he maintained his lead, but he had plenty of challenges. Speed Sailing edged off the rail, flying late with plenty of trot. London Hunt locked in, never got his bike wheels through.
And Probe finished 4th to qualify for tonight's final. Now, as we take a look at the second elimination last week, and one horse that stood out in your mind going into that race.
Well, everybody's eyes are on Kaiser Lobell. He won the Peter Houghton this earlier in the season. He's been just at the peak of his game, $500,000 to his card, but Valley Victory is going to be his main rival.
Okay, let's go back last week at Pompano and take a look at the second division. Remember, the top 4 finishers qualify for tonight.
3/4 in 129 1/5. And as they head for home, Kaiser Lobell, the winner catch. Bon Vivant on the outside. Valley Victory now swings 3 wide. And Flying Irishman behind that wall of horses looking for room. They are in the lane. Kaiser Lobell, Valley Victory is trotting up a storm on the outside. And now drawing clear. Valley Victory coming on. Kaiser Lobell second, followed by Cobra Lobell. It's all Valley Victory in 159 flat.
And as we take a look now at the stretch drive, you see Valley Victory looking impressive outside.
And as you can see, Kaiser Lobell's long campaign starting to catch up with him. Valley Victory, perfect second over trip, but just exploded in the stretch to an uncontested win. What an amazing performance by this colt.
And Cobra Lobell finishing 3rd, Flying Irishman finishing 4th. And Dave, that is the way that we arrived at the 8 for tonight's championship here in the Breeders' Crown. Back to you.
And there's Valley Victory. He holds the track record for 2-year-old colts on the trot, 158 3. He set that at the end of October, and many think that it's going to fall tonight. Let's take a look at the odds as we get close to post time. Ziggy Hanover at 7 to 1, and again we have an odds-on favorite 2 to 5 for Valley Victory. London Hunt getting some support at 8 to 1, and the others double digit. Back with more from Pompano after this.
Oh, this was a world record? No, it's not, because if it was a world record, it'd have 2 stars. It's just the track record. Huh. I mean, unless they're wrong.
Where's that guy? Karen, where's the
3,
guy?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Yes.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Pompano Park. We are just moments away now from the 2-year-old colt Trotters as they try for the Breeders' Crown Championship. And with me is the owner of Ziggy Hanover, Paul Hayen. And this is a breakthrough horse for you because most of your success has been in Europe, particularly with the Belgian-American, Belgian-French breeds. But now you have your big horse here tonight.
Right. We normally race in Belgium, and last year we bought the first yearlings here and to race as a 2-year-old, and it's one of the first starts that we had. One of the first years that we had as a 2-year-old racing, yeah.
Well, obviously, Ziggy impressed you when you purchased him as a yearling. How do you like his chances tonight?
He has a chance tonight, and but Valley Victory is a very good horse.
Good luck tonight, Mr. Hayen.
Thank you very much, Ken.
Paul Hayen, who is one of the owners of Ziggy Hanover. Back to you, Dave.
Let's take a look at how they'll line up in terms of post position for tonight's 12th race here and the second of our doubleheader. Ziggy Hanover at the rail stand. That's got to help just like it did in the filly division.
It won't hurt him a single bit, but his main contender and the horse he has to beat is right next to him.
Stan, what about year-end consistency and moving on to the 3-year-old campaign?
Well, I think it's much more correlation between the trotting colts and fillies as 2-year-olds and their 3-year-old form than with the pacers. These colts and fillies on the trot develop later in the season, and most of them, when they get good at the end of the year, seem to come back at 3 good.
And if they get good at the end of the year and they're nominated to the Breeders' Crown, lots of bucks in store. Let's take a look at the purse money up for distribution in this Breeders' Crown event for 2-year-old colts on the trot. $183,000 to the winner of this Breeders' Crown event. And who will get that 183? Well, Ellie Sarama, have you got any thoughts?
I'm a chalk better, Dave, and I have to go with the chalk here. A well-deserved favorite, Valley Victory. I think he's been so impressive, and he's coming into his own. I really can't see him getting beaten here.
And let's take a quick look at the world record and the track record. The world record was set by Mr. Drew on a 5/8 mile track, 158-2, and Valley Victory, who set the track record, will be trying to better that 158-3 that he set on October the 28th. Stan, John Campbell said something interesting a bit earlier. He talked about thinking that the filly had peaked at mid-season. I guess horses do peak at different times of the year.
Well, one of the difficulties and one of the skills of good trainers is to get them good and keep them good. It's a very, very difficult assignment. They do seem to peak, but they have peaks and valleys and then come back to form.
And as they get ready to start, we're taking a look from the blimp. What an interesting view that is as the colts move in behind the starting gate. Gary Seibel gets his binoculars up, and the fans either finish at the mutual window or rush out to the rail to see the start. It's a 5/8 mile track. This 1 mile contest, the Breeders' Crown for 2-year-old trotters, begins on the backstretch, twice past the grandstand, and then to a championship.
And another good start here as this field moves in behind the gate.
And let's listen to Gary Seibel's call.
And there they go. They're off and trotting from in between horses. Set out quickly. That is Kaiser Lobell, and also leaving on the inside, Speed Sailing, Flying Irishman trots up strongly on the outside to look for a good early spot. Coming away fourth, it's Ziggy Hanover. Then a gap of 2. Valley Victory, followed right there by Cobra Lobell, London Hunt, and Probe. Midway through the paddock turn, the first time, Flying Irishman on a break. Flying Irishman is off stride. Kaiser Lobell by a length. Speed Sailing races second, Ziggy Hanover third, opening panel 29 2/5. And now they trot by the stands the first time. It's Kaiser Lobell and Ray Remenant top by 2. Speed Sailing races second, Ziggy Hanover third, a length and a half back, Valley Victory right there fourth. On the inside, it's Cobra Lobell, followed on the outside by London Hunt, Probe, and far back on the trot is Flying Irishman. They wheel around the clubhouse turn. Kaiser Lobell in control, and he's got up by 2. On the inside, second of that is Speed Sailing, and now Ziggy Hanover first to move, going up first over the half in a minute and 1/5. Field of 2-year-old trotting colts now on to the backstretch. Kaiser Lobell pours it on. He's got up by 2. Ziggy Hanover steadily closing ground on the outside. Speed Sailing content to sit at the rail third. Valley Victory now into the outside flow. He's second over fourth. On the inside, Cobra Lobell trotting fifth. London Hunt is sixth. Probe seventh. Far back, Flying Irishman heading to the 3/4 pole. Kaiser Lobell has been unchallenged throughout. Ziggy Hanover now ranges up on the outside. Right there, Speed Sailing has had the perfect perfect trip third. 3/4, 129 flat. That third quarter, 28-4. And as they hit the top of the lane, Kaiser Lobell, but they're all coming to him now. Valley Victory tipped 3 wide, and Billy O'Donnell's got plenty of horse. Here he comes with them now. Valley Victory, the outside, storms to the front, and he's drawing clear. Ziggy Hanover, Cobra Lobell, but it's all Valley Victory in front in 1:58 1/5.
And Valley Victory has done it for Baltic Speed just as Peace Corps did it. Valley Victory, a son of Baltic Speed out of Valley Victoria, comes home a big winner tonight, having won 3 of his last 4 races. We saw him at Freehold, at Garden State and Lexington, and now a champion here at Pompano. And 150, is it 158 or 159 and 1? Looks like 158 and 1/5.
It's a record mile, and it's a great celebration for Castleton Farm. Baltic Speed stands at Castleton of New Jersey at Stanley Dancer's farm in New Jersey. And he has sired a phenomenal colt and filly from his first crop.
At the rail, Kaiser Lobell with Ray Remond goes off stride, and Valley Victory just picks up all the pieces.
He had what's known as a second over trip. He was following a horse on the outside, followed Ziggy Hanover up, but when he made his move for O'Donnell in the final turn, it was no contest.
So we had odds-on favorites in both of our contests. Campbell in one, O'Donnell in the other. What else is new? We'll be back with the celebration after these important messages.
1 to 5 and 2 to 5. What's the matter? What was the order of finish?
Pardon me?
What was it?
I will right after this interview's done, then I'll be there.
Who was second and third? You know? Get him over here as quick as you can. Get him back to the Tom!
Billy!
Let's get him over here. Come on. Can you see? 2-5. Hurry up! 2-5. And in what? In 150? 8 and 1. 58 and 1. I didn't get it. You say that's America's can't train horse. Trotters.
I send it right to Ellie Wright.
Congratulations, by the way. This one here. Can't get my knob, Joe. Could take this with me.
Back at Pompano Park, the second odds-on choice, the second sired by Baltic Speed. Valley Victory, the winner of the Colt Trot. Let's go to the winner's circle and Ellie Sarama.
I'm joined with the winning driver of Valley Victory, Billy O'Donnell. Billy, I spoke to you earlier about pre-race strategy. I guess it paid off. The colt was absolutely giant.
Oh, yeah, real good, Ellie. Thank you. There wasn't much strategy to it. Like, he gets away slow, and I just had to sit there, and he kicked in around the last turn. I just moved him over, and he did all the work himself.
Let's take a look at the replay on the monitor. We're going to pick it up the backside here. You pulled and you flushed Ziggy Hanover out. You had a little racing luck as far as that goes. How does the colt feel right at this point?
Strong, really strong. He's having a little trouble keeping up. They were trotting pretty good up around here. As soon as the turn came, he got right up good on the bit, and then Ziggy Hanover wasn't taking me very far. Right up in here, Ziggy Hanover kind of stays where he's at, so I just moved him over 3 deep, and the rest is on the board.
Ray looks like he's having a little trouble right here with Kaiser Lobell. He's starting to come back to him, and again, you have live enough cover coming into the lane. You tip your colt 3 deep here, and he explodes in the stretch as he did last week.
Yes, exactly. He's really a strong horse. You know, he's not a great big guy, but he's really got some strength and a great stride on him, great gait.
And I'm sure you feel at this point right here that you've got the race in the bag.
Well, I stopped holding my breath at that point, yeah.
Billy O'Donnell, thanks for joining us. Congratulations again. Now back to Dave.
And if you had a ticket on the winner, you didn't have to hold your breath either. Valley Victory paid $320, and look at the place price, $420, and $340 to show. Cobra Lobell, $22.680, and Ziggy Hanover, $460. Quite a performance by Valley Victory. We'll be back. Okay.
Tell them they haven't mentioned the owner. They got the owner?
Have we ever mentioned the owner?
Arlene Traub.
Arlene Traub, is she there? Is that who Kenny's going to talk to?
Okay, fine.
Okay, and there's Mr. and Mrs. Cashman.
Yep.
You want to do this as the in bump here?
This is going to be quick. We're coming out right to us right now.
The presentation taking place in the infield winner's circle will go now down to our winner's circle. Here's Kenny.
Thanks, Dave. With me is Mrs. Arlene Traub. Congratulations, your first Breeders' Crown victory. You've had a lot of success on the track, though, in the past. How does this feel?
Oh, this feels special. I think this horse is a special horse in this race. I think this is the most important race of my career. I've won Woodrow Wilson's and I've won major races, but this is exciting.
And when he came into the stretch out wide at the end, did you think he had enough left? He was making a big move.
I thought he had plenty left. That's his big run, is the stretch run. He's got an awful lot of speed. He's still very green. My heart palpitates and pounds a lot, but I mean, he's just a super horse.
This was the kind of colt that was really coming along, and was there a particular time leading up to the Breeders' Crown here that you felt, I've got one that could go on and win it?
In the winner's circle in Lexington on September 30th, when he won in 57-2, Mr. O'Donnell said to me, get your $10,000 ready for the Breeders' Crown because we're going to win it.
No hesitation about that 10 grand then?
No, none at all. Not when you have a horse of this caliber.
And the plans for him now after the victory, do you start thinking ahead already to 3-year-old? I know you're going to enjoy
absolutely.
The celebration.
Well, he's going to get a deserved rest, and you know, he'll grow a little bit, he'll get a little bit of grass and come back, and I hope he'll be a top 3-year-old.
Well, he certainly looks like he has all the makings. Of course, a lot can happen between 2 and 3, but you've got a good one right now. You got a good one right now.
Well, I like what Stan Bergstein said. He said the ones that come along as good 2-year-olds towards the end of the year come back as the great 3-year-olds. So I'll go for that.
You never argue with Stan Bergstein.
No,
Congratulations, Arlene Traub, and good luck. Go enjoy the winner's celebration over there tonight as Arlene Traub's horse wins tonight. Valley victory here in the Breeders' Crown. Back to you, Dave.
And that's John Cashman, the president of Pompano Park, making the trophy presentation there. Quick correction, the place price on the winner was $4, and I don't argue with Stan Bergstein either.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This is a very remarkable lady you just saw, Arlene Traub. Last year she had a 2-year-old pacer, even odds, that won $950,000. And now she comes right back with a 2-year-old trotting colt that wins the Breeders' Crown. 2 new superstars tonight, David. We have Peace Corps, a phenomenal 2-year-old filly. Valley Victory, a great 2-year-old trotting colt, and Baltic Speed, a new super sire.
Let's take a look at the order of finish from top to bottom, and Valley Victory, the big winner here in this division of the Breeders' Crown, with Cobra Lobell finishing second and Ziggy Hanover third. Probe with Campbell, the long shot, fourth, all the way down to Flying Irishman, who finished last. Now, in early August of next year, when you get set to come to the Meadowlands for the Hambletonian, don't forget that Valley Victory trotted in 158-1. Also, don't forget that Peace Corps did it a full second faster.
It might make a very interesting confrontation.
Well, thanks for being with us. It's certainly been an interesting evening watching the 2-year-olds at Pompano Park. Join us next Friday night, early Saturday morning for our season's finale featuring the 2-year-old Pacing Stars beginning at 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific right here on ESPN. Breeders' Crown 88 has been brought to you by Pompano Park, the winter capital of harness racing, and by Budweiser Beechwood Aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by U.S. Air, the official airline of the Breeders' Crown. Until next week, good night from beautiful Pompano Beach.
Trying to break any more boxes.
The stretch is totally ruthless.
And with this victory in the Kentucky Pacing Derby, Totally Ruthless, who left from post position number 8 on the half-mile track at Louisville, turned in the finest performance of his young career and leaped to the head of the 2-year-old Pacing Colt division. With a win tonight, he would lock up his divisional championship.